In the quiet town of Willow Creek, Ohio, people still whisper about what happened to Sarah Donovan. Not because it was a dramatic, sensational event, but because it was a slow, painful betrayal that felt frighteningly real, the kind of thing that could happen to any of us. Sarah, at 34, was the administrative heart of a mid-sized construction company. For nearly 9 years, she was the definition of dependable. She wasn't one for office politics or drama. She just did her job, kept meticulous records, and was always ready to help. Her reputation was simple, reliable, quiet, and accurate. Then, Lisa Moran arrived. The company was growing, and Sarah finally got an assistant to help with the mounting paperwork, contracts, and scheduling. At first, Sarah was relieved. Lisa was a quick learner, asked intelligent questions, and showed Sarah a great deal of respect. They even shared coffee breaks, building what seemed like a budding friendship. Everything felt right. But as we all know, real problems rarely announce themselves. They creep in, starting with something small, something you can easily dismiss. For Sarah, it began with a few mismatched invoice numbers. She chalked it up to a simple clerical error, maybe her own mistake. A couple of weeks later, a supplier emailed, asking about a delayed payment Sarah was sure she had approved. Again, she blamed herself. The stress, the heavy workload, she must have overlooked it. The real turning point, however, came quietly, in the form of a formal warning letter from HR. It claimed that 3 major project reports submitted under her name were riddled with errors, bad formatting, missing attachments, and incorrect figures. Sarah was stunned. This wasn't her work. She had never been anything but thorough. When she pulled up the submitted files, a terrifying reality began to sink in. They were her documents, but they had been altered. Dates were shifted, numbers were changed, and crucial attachments had vanished. Someone had gone into her work folders and sabotaged her files after she had completed them. For the first time in 9 years, Sarah felt a cold knot of fear in her stomach. She felt unsafe in her own workspace. Driven by a gut feeling, she checked the access logs for the files. 2 names appeared over and over, her own and Lisa's. Sarah's heart pounded in her chest. She desperately wanted to believe it was a misunderstanding, a series of unfortunate accidents. Maybe Lisa had clicked something by mistake, but the next incident would shatter any lingering doubt. During a routine financial audit, investigators uncovered alarming inconsistencies in the company's petty cash logs. Under Sarah's name, multiple transactions were traced to personal bank accounts. When the auditors called her in, Sarah felt the world drop from beneath her feet. Her body went numb. "I have never taken a single dollar from this company," she stated, her voice shaking slightly. The auditor, calm and professional, simply turned his laptop toward her. On the screen were screenshots of financial transfers, all authorized from Sarah's login ID. But Sarah had spent enough time on computers to recognize the truth instantly. The mouse movements, the clicks, the timing, they weren't hers. Sarah walked out of that room in a state of quiet shock. She didn't argue, she didn't cry. A cold, hard clarity settled over her. Someone was methodically setting her up to fail, and only one person had both the access and the motive to replace her: Lisa. The humiliation and fear felt like a fire rising in her chest. 9 years of building a spotless reputation, being systematically destroyed by someone who had been there for barely 6 months. But Sarah Donovan didn't break down. She didn't lash out. Instead, she became quietly operational. Not vengeful, not impulsive, just incredibly focused. She started with the basics, transforming into a silent investigator. For the next 3 weeks, she saved everything, every email, every file backup, every login timestamp. She approached the IT department under the guise of wanting to do some security testing and convinced them to enable detailed activity tracking on her account. She even placed a small, discreet notebook in her desk drawer, meticulously logging every single time she left her workstation, even for just a few minutes. Then she started watching Lisa, not confronting, not even speaking, just observing. She noticed how Lisa often stayed late after everyone else had gone home, how she eagerly volunteered to help finish Sarah's reports, how she would frequently ask for Sarah's login password, always with a seemingly innocent excuse like, just in case something urgent comes up. The pattern was becoming crystal clear. But Sarah knew she needed undeniable proof. And then she got it. One evening, Sarah made a show of leaving at 5 p.m. sharp. She grabbed her bag, said her goodbyes, and walked out of the main hallway. But she didn't leave the building. Instead, she slipped into a nearby stairwell, a blind spot for the security cameras, and waited. 20 minutes later, just as she suspected, Lisa walked straight to Sarah's desk, sat down in her chair, turned on her computer, and inserted a USB drive. In the shadows, Sarah documented everything. She took photos with her phone. She recorded videos. She noted the exact timestamp. She didn't make a sound. The next morning, Sarah requested a private meeting with the IT director. She laid out her story, showed him the photos, and asked him to cross-reference the activity on her workstation from the previous night. He agreed to look into it. By noon, he returned, his face grim. The logs confirmed it all. Between 5:22 and 5:47 p.m., while Sarah was officially documented as having left the building, someone had used her account to access financial records, alter vendor payments, and delete email trails. Now she had her evidence, cold, hard, and irrefutable. But Sarah didn't rush to HR. She was smarter than that. She waited. She waited for the monthly executive meeting, the one where all the department heads and managers were present, including the company's owner, a 60-year-old man who valued loyalty and integrity above all else. Halfway through the meeting, the owner brought up the audit irregularities. Before anyone else could speak, Sarah calmly raised her hand. "Sir," she began, her voice steady, "I'd like to present something. It concerns the integrity of our department." The room fell silent. All eyes turned to her. Sarah connected her laptop to the projector. She opened a folder simply labeled Unauthorized Activity Documentation. One by one, she presented her case. The slides showed the photos of Lisa at her desk after hours. The IT logs proving Sarah wasn't there. Screen recordings showing unauthorized changes being made to her files. A side-by-side comparison of her original documents versus the altered versions. And the final devastating piece of evidence, bank records showing that the suspicious personal transfers had been reversed just minutes after they were made. This meant someone was creating fake transactions just long enough to take screenshots and frame her. The executives were stunned. The owner leaned forward, his jaw tight with anger. "Are you telling me," he said, his voice low and dangerous, "that this employee tried to frame you for financial misconduct?" Sarah looked him directly in the eye and nodded. "I'm telling you she tried to replace me by destroying my record." Lisa was called into the boardroom. The moment she saw the presentation on the screen, her face went ghost white. She stammered, trying to form a defense. I was only trying to, she told me to, those are edited." But the IT director cut her off. "These logs can't be faked." The owner ended the ordeal with a single, final sentence. "Get your things and leave the building." There was no shouting, no explosive drama, just the cold, quiet finality of justice. Lisa was terminated on the spot. But the story doesn't end there. HR issued a formal apology to Sarah, and her record was completely cleared. At her next performance review, the owner himself promoted Sarah to department lead, giving her a significant salary increase and her own team to manage. In the days that followed, her colleagues approached her quietly. "I always knew something was off about her," one admitted. Another said, "Thank you for speaking up. She tried similar things with me." Sarah never bragged about her victory. She never gloated or even brought up the incident again. She understood that true revenge isn't loud or flashy. It's the quiet, undeniable power of the truth, which can dismantle a liar more completely than anger ever could. And in our own lives, in our own workplaces, it's a powerful reminder that sometimes the quietest people are the ones who rise the highest, because they know how to fight with facts, not with noise. Thank you so much for watching. If this story resonated with you, please hit that like button and subscribe for more content. We'll see you in the next one.